Okay, I've been having a hell of a problem with a heck of a problem with I did two videos yesterday, and they both were not. One had a problem when I rotated it, and it got very pixelated. And the second one, it just wasn't going to upload. It took like 5 hours and was uploaded like 1%. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm going to try again today. Um, What I'm going to talk about today is a request from a viewer. Thank you for the question. It's about reading cards. The dog's about to start barking. Okay. Reading the same number, the minor arcana, the same number, but in different suits. More specifically, if you have a spread and you pull 4 sevens in one spread, how do you read that? So there's a lot to say about how to read the minor arcana. And, if you started with the Rider-Waite-Smith, you have the books and you can see the pictures and eventually you learn the cards, you see enough of them, you learn the cards, and you're off and running. And I think if that's how you read, if you read straight Rider-Waite-Smith, I mean, that's a system you use, and you just read the cards like the book says, the Three of Wands, the Three of Hearts, the Three of Swords, and there's the books. And the books are all pretty similar in how they approach those numbers in those suits. The other way to read, and it's a way of reading that you can read. Rider-Waite-Smith, you can read the Thoth, you can read Marseille, you can really expand your the number of kinds of decks you read if you use numerology and the elements. And it's also very it's easy to learn, and it's much more dynamic than reading so specifically. So, to answer the question just briefly is like if you're doing Rider-Waite-Smith, just look at the cards and go with whatever they say, what the book says, and what you know to be true. And if that works for you, that's great. But it's nice to jump over and consider doing things through numerology and the elements. And to get you comfortable with that, I would suggest when you do your own readings to get comfortable with the other system, the numerology and the elements. Now, when you read books on tarot, they often talk about the numbers and what the numbers mean. And that's the direction I'm going in. So you have ones. Ones are the seed, they're the spark. Twos are a decision or a duality, the twos. Threes are forward movement, creativity. Fours are stability. Fives are change. Sixes are harmony. Sevens, I call sevens a challenge. Other people call them challenges too. Eights are building confidence. Nines are attainment, reaching forward, and tens are completion. So I use those number keywords for the numbers of the cards. So if someone pulled 4 sevens, I would say there's a lot of energy there and there's a lot of challenges there. Now and then you can talk about it a lot. Now, the other thing about reading numbers and elements, well, of course you deal with the elements as well. You deal with the water, the earth, the fire, and the air. And they have their own characteristics. In a very general way, when you think of the numbers 1 through 10, you can think of the odd numbers as being sort of active energy and the even numbers being sort of in repose. And that's pretty much, that's a nice little thing to keep in mind if you're kind of lost and you're reading numbers and you say, what does this mean? Well, if it's a 6, well, maybe it's a little bit less active. It's kind of maybe more steady, or it's more in repose, where a 7 or a 9 is moving forward. So just taking that into consideration gives you a clue into what the card, how the card can be read. If it's an odd number or an even number. Odd numbers moving forward, even numbers holding back. It's like the yin and the yang kind of thing in the numerology. Now, the other thing I want to mention is there is a progression from the 1 all the way to the 10. And I feel like the energies increase and the conflicts increase. And all this energy that starts up low, it progresses through the continuum of the 1 through 10 and then gets more intricate as you go up through from 1 to 10. I think the 1s through the 4s, the 1s to the 4s are very simple sort of energy. It's energy, and it's revving up, and then you go to your 5s, your 6 or 7s, 5s and 6 maybes, and there's sort of you're also stretching, and then you go to your 8, 9s, and 10s, and that's full on energy. So there's also that to consider if you're looking at a card. Now, in the case of what she asked me about, what about 4 7s? 4 7s are challenges to me. So I would look at each card, and when I do readings, I talk a lot. I ask a lot of questions. I say, well, we got some energy here, going a lot of 4 energies, a lot of energy here with these 7s, and they have the elements. So you have your 7. It could be, what it would be the energy around, the emotionally with the water suit. What's the energy around, like with the sword suit, the air suit, and you get to talk about it. When you get comfortable with just using maybe a simple keyword for that number, you can also go into advanced numerology, which is another whole thing, which is kind of interesting. So, and this kind of expresses the energies. So you're in the early numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4s, 5s. 1 is kind of the basic, and then 1 and 1 is 2. So 1 and 1 is 2, and then you get to 3, and that's another added 1. It's also a 2 and a 1. Then you get to 4s, and that's a 2 and a 2, or 3 and a 1. And as you go up higher, get a 7, and that's a 5 and a 2, or a 4 and a 3, or it could be 3 2s and a 1. And when you get into the higher numbers, you can kind of look at the numbers and explore what makes up that number. Is it 3 2s and a 1? Is it a 4 and a 3? And that makes it interesting too if you want to do that. Now that's more I don't know if it's more advanced, but that's one thing you can do once you get into the higher numbers. So naturally, as you get in the higher numbers, there'll be more lower numbers involved. A 9 would be 3 3s. A 9 would be a 7 and a 2. It would be 4 2s and a 1. So you can see all these different energies that could be playing into like a 9 or an 8 or a 10. That's something else to consider if you want to extend your readings and talk more about those readings, get more in depth with those readings. So if I had a 7 of cups, and I was thinking of that's a 3 and a 4. That's a stability and then a breakthrough. And I would ask them, and in a 4 of cups, with your intuition or in an emotional way, have you gone through a creative phase? Did whatever happened? Did it start with just you were calm and everything was okay, and then you broke through something? Was there some kind of breakthrough that got you to the 7, or was it there was a lot of chaos going on, And yeah, it was a 5, and then the 2 became where you had to make a choice, and that's what brought you to the 7s. So that's a little bit more you can do as you get comfortable with the numbers. Now, the books have numbers, a lot of books and a lot of online videos and blogs talk about numbers and, you know, what number 1 means, what a number 2 means, what a number 3 means. And I told you what I feel they mean and how I use it. But you can fine tune those however you like. Anyways, it makes it very easy to read if you're using the numerology with the elements. This is helpful. I wonder if I'm clear about this. Using numerology and elements, of course, as I said, you can use that. You can read anything. I mean, that will help you with reading play cards. It will help you reading Marseille, pip decks, scenic decks, just about anything. You know, just going with the numbers and giving the numbers a quality of some kind, and going that way. So, in summary, I would say 4 7s that was suggested 4 7s. That means you had all 4 suits. You've got a lot of energy, a lot of high energy churning there. It's 7s. It's going up in the progression. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of challenges, and so I would discuss that with the client. I would start with one of the 7s, talk about that, and then go on to the others. And then they can also interact with each other. So a 7 of air and a 7 of cups could mean that you've got a lot of challenges here, with your thoughts and your emotional state. They're all kind of getting meshed in together and playing with each other, or maybe not even playing with it. Maybe there's problems in that area. So I think the best way to work with your numbers too is to start doing it with your numbers. Do your own readings and see how comfortable you get with them, and then take it from there. I don't think it's if you're working with Rider-Waite-Smith, you may want to stay with that and then work on your own with the numbers and see which quality you want to select for each number. Again, the qualities I select are the seed. Number 1 is the seed or the spark. Number 2 is duality or choice. Number 3 is creativity, moving forward. Number 4 is repose. Number 5 is change. Number 6 is harmony. So you see how it's going back and forth. Number 7 is challenge. Number 8 is confidence. Number 9 is attainment. And then number 10 is completion. And those are the key words I kind of think of when I see a number. I hope this has been helpful. I hope I can upload this. Anyway, it's only 13 minutes, so it shouldn't be that long. I should be able to do it. Okay, have a great day. If you have any questions, let me know. Holla. Have a great day.